Let's talk a bit about setting career goals. Because really, if you don't know where you are going, how will you know when you get there? Setting career goals can be a simple, linear process, or it could be as complex and as multi-pronged as you would like to make it. Working with psychometrists and other professionals who can help delve into who you are as a person, challenges that you need to overcome, identifying your natural talents and interests, and setting goals to develop from there. And then, of course, there's room for everything in between. For some people, the road seems quite clear. For others, it's much more murky, and the additional help really clarifies things over time. So, where you have access to assessments, whether you pay for it yourself or you can do certain things through your employer, whether there are areas of development that has been identified by your managers, make use of what is available to you to help you see where to go next. So the purpose of our discussion today really is not to look into all the heavyweight things that psychologists and psychometrists would take you through and other career coaches would take you through, but that one very important question that in shooting for any new role you must be able to answer, and that is the why. So, in my years as a senior level recruiter and headhunter, I have had various people talk to me about wanting that CTO, CFO, CIO, CEO role, whatever it is, CXO role. And some are very well suited to that, and that's the way that they should go. But not everyone is. And there are some people who, because of the peer pressure and the external status that is given to people in those kind of roles, feel that they should step up or shoot for that level role. And it might not be the best option for them. A senior specialist role or a consultant role might be much better suited to them. So when you look at those kind of roles, sit down and ask yourself, is that really what you want? Because remember, those roles come with a lifestyle price. You really are on call 24/7, 365. Your work days will be 16 hours plus. Other things you would need to sacrifice to be able to step up to that. And yes, we do need those senior leaders, but not everyone is supposed to be in those roles. I'm thinking here of a good friend of mine who in recent years has had the opportunity to shoot for a group CEO role of a fairly influential, internationally positioned company. At the same time, there was an MD role available in one of the group companies. And being a very strategic thinker, he made the choice to not shoot for the CEO role because there are other things in his life that just carried much weight for him. Things like family time and church involvement and time to stay fit and do his running and other things like that, which he understood that if he shooted for that CEO role, which he most probably would have been successful in, all of that would have needed to take a step back in his life. And it was just not worth it to do it for the short term and then in the long term, hopefully keep his marriage and all those things intact. So make sure that you can answer that why for you. And if you are then ready to make that change, that significant other people in your life are in agreement with you and will go along the journey with you. Things like relocation could be very, very, very relevant, especially in the mining industry where I do the majority of my work. I'm thinking here again of a very successful young GM that I'm working with. And he made the choice to, in the earlier part of his career, go for these international roles, high profile roles, high pressure roles, big risk involved with it. But the learning and the growing and obviously the financial reward was worth it for him. But he's come to that point now where really the money is not that important anymore. He would like to be home with his wife and his kids and put in a good long day, but not endless months away from his family. So it's important for you to sit down, ask the why, and consider which route would be best for you to take. Now, it is true that when you embark on any new job search, you often feel in the beginning like you're in the middle of one big maze. But there are a few things that you could do to actually make the road out a little bit clearer right from the start. And I would advise that you first consider what your ideal employers would look like. So the types of companies, the sizes of those companies, and even write down to the names of the specific employers you would want to work for. And then go and do your homework. Do some research. Ask people in the industry. Get as much insider info as you can from current or previous employees to help you assess if these companies are all that you perceive them to be and if that would be a good fit for you. Next, put together a plan on how you are going to get there. So that could involve things like additional courses or qualifications that would position you better for them or for the specific roles that you are interested in with them. Perhaps joining industry bodies that could give you more exposure to them, broadening your industry network. And of course, we will talk at another time more in depth about how to build your network within LinkedIn, which can be very powerful to connect you to the right people in the industry. And then, of course, remain flexible throughout. It would be lovely if everything was a straight road, but the truth is life often throws us curved balls. And along your way, there might be some interesting other opportunities that come up that you want to remain open to, or you might get into that same organization, but via a very different route to the one you imagined would take you there. So good for you to have the goal, but also remain open to other things that could happen along the way. Now, in looking at the big why, there's one more important thing to consider, and that is those cases where someone wants to make a complete industry or specialization change. I giggle because it's one of those things that send chills down the spines of senior headhunters. When someone comes and says they want to make a complete career change, but they have got nothing to back that, and they expect to still do it at the same level that they are currently at and at the same or even a higher compensation. It's difficult to make those transitions. Not impossible. I certainly have been able through my years to reposition a few people like that. But of course, there would be some key things that they would bring on board that would make them attractive to a new employer in the new space. So let's backtrack here a little bit. You need to make sure if you decide to make such a big change that it is not fear-driven. None of us can think straight when fear talks so loudly in our heads. And many times when a certain industry is under pressure, people look out to other industries and it seems that things are going better there and they think the grass is greener on the other side without really knowing the internal issues in that industry. And if you are putting yourself into a place that really is not suited for you, you will not be able to excel there. So make sure that it's not just a knee-jerk fear reaction to make this kind of change. Then, if you do want to do that, it's important for you to find ways to prove your worth before you get into this new space. So whether that means doing additional courses or adding some qualifications that would be relevant to the new environment, specialization, or industry, whichever it is that you want to change, whether that would be building your network within that industry, think of innovative ways in which you can get yourself exposed to things that would make you attractive to that industry. One of the biggest things that you could do to get noticed, for example, is to very carefully look at issues that seem to be bottlenecks or projects that seem to be problems for clients in that specific area that you are interested in. Go and identify who you want to work for, and then go and do the research on that. Come up with a presentation and a solution for them, prepare that properly, and then connect with senior leaders in that space and show them what you have done. That will get them to sit up and take note of you much quicker than a normal recruitment process. And then, of course, don't underestimate how strong you are positioned where you are already. If you've been doing well where you are, the likelihood of you having the opportunity, if you put your hand up for that, to work on projects or initiatives that's closer aligned to where you want to go in your current company is so much bigger than for you to make that transition into a new company and expect them to pay you for something in which you have not proven your worth yet.